NBC Sports presents from Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, Minnesota, the 1965 All-Star Baseball Game.
Well, here's Say Hey Willie Mays, the center fielder, leading off. A well-hit ball. Abelillo is going to get it, evidently, the way he's moving by the fence, but it may be gone, and it is. And that's the way the ball game starts. Well, that's the way the 1965 All-Star Game starts. And to the plate from the Milwaukee Braves, the catcher, Joe Torre. There it goes, high and down the line. Horton back, that's gone if it's fair. And it is a home run, and it's 3-0. Torre golfed one high into the air and just inside the line, scoring Stargell ahead of him. And Milt Pappas of Baltimore has been greeted with 2 home runs and a single, and the American League is 3 runs down at the moment. And Willie Stargell is the batter. Stargell blasts one into right center. No one's going to get it, and it may be gone, and it is into the bullpen for a home run, making it 5-0. Willie Stargell joins Willie Mays and Joe Torre with a home run. That's the 3rd of the game for the National Leaguers, and it's a 5-0 ball game.
With 2 out of the American League 5th inning, Jimmy Hall bats for Rickard and draws a walk.
And that brings up Dick McAuliffe. Here's one well hit. Willie Mays is going back, way back near the warning track, and leaps and can't get it. Home run. There it is, a home run for Dick McAuliffe. Dick McAuliffe has just made this a 5-3 ball game, a tremendous home run. Hot shot, Santo knocks it down and cannot get him. Ernie Banks got out there. Santo, a fine recovery, but Brooks Robinson beats it out there. Santo made 2 quick steps to his right. A low throw, but Robinson beats it out. It's a base hit, and here is the local hero, Harmon Killebrew.
Keep your eye on the seismograph. If this fella hits one right here, this place will go crazy.
There's the fastball, and there she goes. This ball game is tied up.
Fastball that time, and he knew what to do with it. Boy, did he blast it. Mays took about 2 steps and stopped.
Harmon Killebrew steps to the plate and takes a high inside pitch. But the killer unloads on this one, and he knows it's gone, taking a look himself before shifting into his home run trot. Brooks Robinson adds some applause of his own as he scores. As Killebrew rounds third base, Calavito and Robbie are at the plate to greet him. With 1 out now, Santos slashes a bouncer over McDowell's head. Richardson and Versailles converge on the ball. Robbie backhands it but can't hold on. It caroms toward Versailles, and it also pops out of his grasp, but he spears it on the second try. Then whirls and fires to first. He just misses getting Santos. And it's a big hit for Ron. Mays has scored, and the National League leads 6-5.
Here's Tony Oliva leading off in the bottom of the 9th against Bob Gibson, who's trying to nail down the win for the National League. There's a base hit into left center field, an extra base hit, and that'll be the tying run on either second or third. And it's a double for Oliva to start the bottom of the 9th. Gibson had him set up. Now, the American League, the home club. Let's see how they play it. If they go for the tying run, that is, will they be bunting? Just what will they be doing? Alvis is the batter. He bunts in the air, and Gibson's going to get it. Well, they wasted it out there, as it turned out, because Alvis got the ball up in the air, and here's Killebrew. And Killebrew strikes out. Gibson threw it by him at the knees. And Joe Torre giving Gibson that old pep talk, shaking the fist at him.
He's got to let out. There's no pitching strategy when you got the tying run and scoring position in the ninth. You just rear back, and as I've heard so many baseball people say, you get them out with the pitch that got you here, and the fastball did it for Gibson.
Ernie Banks came over from first base, reminding Gibson, I'm sure, to be sure to cover in case the ball is pulled on the ground by Pepitone, who is the pinch hitter, Joe Pepitone. 3-2 to the hitter. What will Gibson throw? That's the winning run. He struck him out, and the ball game is over, and the National League won it 6-5. 2 strikeouts in the inning, under pressure by Bob Gibson, who said before the game there wasn't a way in the world he could possibly work in the ball game. Leadoff double by Oliva is wasted. 8 men stranded by the American League. The National League wins it by the score of 6-5. It was a dandy, Joe.
Welcome to the Metrodome in Minneapolis for the 1985 Major League All-Star Game. More than 55,000 fans will be on hand at game time as the finest players in baseball perform on a national stage. Which stars will shine brightest tonight? After all, those one-on-one battles have been at the heart of the All-Star drama and mystique since the very beginning. There was Carl Hubbell striking out 5 future Hall of Famers in a row, starting with Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. Later, Ted Williams accepted Rip Sewell's challenge and became the first ever to hit the Eephus pitch out of the park. And a classic confrontation between Hall of Famers Willie Mays and Whitey Ford. The Say Hey Kid won this one with a homer. Warren Spahn was one of the greatest southpaws of all time, but this matchup belonged to Mickey Mantle. Other meetings are even more direct. This moment, as much as any other, has defined the playing style of Pete Rose. Tonight, new stars are out, and new head-to-head competition is possible. Can Jack Morris handle the powerful Dale Murphy? The Mets' Dwight Gooden pitched on Sunday, but he might get in for a couple of hitters tonight. Could one of them be crosstown rival Ricky Henderson? And what about a rematch between Fernando Valenzuela and George Brett? Last year, Fernando struck George out. In a sense, baseball is the most individual of team sports. And on this night, the prospect of dream matchups is what captures the imagination. They're jumping at the Metrodome in Minneapolis for the 56th renewal of baseball's All-Star Game. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Costas. Vin Scully and Joe Garagiola will be here shortly. You know, the question is often asked, what makes the baseball All-Star Game so special? Why does it have a mystique other All-Star games don't? Well, a large part of the reason has to do with the fact that the leagues are still very much separate. The National and American Leagues meet essentially only twice each year, in this game and then in the World Series. The same cannot be said for any other American team sport. Another important factor is that no sport maintains such a lasting and loving connection with its past as does baseball. Just one example. The last time the All-Star Game was held in Minneapolis was 20 years ago, 1965. 2 of the performers in that game were Sandy Koufax of the Dodgers and Harmon Killebrew of the hometown Twins. They faced each other again that fall in the World Series as Koufax and the Dodgers prevailed in the 7th and deciding game, 2-0. Now those 2 all-time greats will be back in uniform again tonight, ready to hear the cheers once more as honorary captains of their respective leagues. There's even a player who figures to get into the game tonight who played in that 1965 game. A young Pete Rose started at second base for the National League and went 0 for 2 that afternoon. Now, as another chapter in All-Star history prepares to be written, we'll take this break and then return with the thoughts of Vin and Joe in just a moment.
Will the issue be decided by the flying feet of Montreal's Tim Raines? Or perhaps the baseline wizardry of the Yankees' Ricky Henderson? Will it be the league's leading stroke of the switch hitter Willie McGee of the St. Louis Cardinals? Or the classic swing of Kansas City Royals' George Brett? Or will they decide to muscle it out, leaning on Dale Murphy of the Atlanta Braves? Or the American League's leading home run hitter, Carlton Fisk of the Chicago White Sox? Or will it be decided sooner or later on the mound in the capable hands of San Diego's Lamar Hoyt, who has won 10 straight? Or in the big winner from Detroit, Jack Morris? Those are just some of the questions. I'm Vin Scully, along with Joe Garagiola. Welcome to the great indoors in Minnesota. How about the questions? First of all, what about American League power?
Well, obviously it's there, but I think the thing that's even more important than that is that the managers are going to let both clubs use their power. I think we're going to see a lot of hitting on 3 balls and no strikes, so we're liable to see a lot of rockets tonight.
In the National League, they have 2 fellas in the starting lineup with 50 or more RBIs. The American League features 6, so they would have an edge there. What about the starting pitching? You look at Lamar Hoyt and you look at Jack Morris.
Well, they're both on the roll, but Lamar Hoyt might have an edge because he has pitched against these fellas. Now, he throws a slider and he throws a sinker. He says the difference in the 10-game winning streak is coming at the same plane, so they look alike, but obviously they're breaking in different directions.
What about speed? Who do you think might get the jump? Willie McGee, Tim Raines, or Ricky Henderson? Do you think running will be a factor at all?
It can, but I don't think it will. Both managers, again, turning everybody loose. If you've got to jump, take off.
Is it possible to have a better infield? What about the infield of Eddie Murray, Lou Whitaker, Cal Ripken, and George Brett?
Well, I can't picture a better infield, but what about the ballpark itself?
There's another question. Will it be decided by the turf here or even the dimensions?
I say that because Ozzie Smith, who we all know is a real magician, he's going to play deeper tonight because the surface is spongier, it's harder. The ball comes at you quicker, and the bounce is something to behold. It's a very high bounce. I would not be surprised, Vin, if the second bounce when the ball hit to the outfield went over the fence. That's how lively it is.
Well, those are just some of the questions. We'll get the answers later on, and we'll go to Bob Costas right after this.
Oh, the Babe is looking real angry up there. These Chicago Cubs have been taunting the Babe, and you can't do that. The Babe just pointed out to center field, which means he's calling a shot. He's telling the Cubs he's going to hit one right out there into the center field bleachers. And if anybody can do it, it's the Sultan of Swat. Number 3, the incredible,
Hi, I'm Billy Crystal, and I'm standing here at the entrance of the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. And tonight, I'm your host for an all-star comedy salute to my best friend, baseball. You know, comedy and baseball are a really terrific combination. Well, you know that. You've seen the Dodger fielding this year. But this place is steeped in history and lore. As a matter of fact, about a block from here, in 1839, Abner Doubleday invented the game of baseball. And it's almost 150 years later, and the rules are pretty much the same. The bases shall be 90 feet apart, the pitcher shall stand 60 feet 6 inches from home plate, and the Cleveland Indians shall finish in last place. What Doubleday couldn't possibly have known was that his little invention would give us these great stars and legends, and they're all immortalized here. Great stars like Lou Gehrig, the Say Hey Kid, Willie Mays, Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams, Satchel Paige. Pretty great, huh? All of these men deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. But there's one guy who's been driving us crazy all week. He's been campaigning to be in the Hall of Fame. It's your friend and ours, Bob Uecker. You know Bob Uecker, the guy in the front row, all right? This is a guy who played Major League Baseball, had a 200 lifetime average, never got past third base in his career, and he's actively been campaigning that Bob Uecker should be in the Hall of Fame. Now we're going to let you, the baseball fans of America, say what you think. If you want to vote yes on Uecker, call 1-900-220-2111. If you want to vote no on Uecker, call 1-900-220-2122. Each phone call will cost 50 cents, and NBC's portion of phone proceeds will be donated to charity. Now, our phone lines will be open until 6 p.m. tomorrow, and the results will be announced on tomorrow night's All-Star pregame show.
Welcome back to Minneapolis and the 1985 All-Star Game. Even as we prepare for this special baseball night, we have to acknowledge some less pleasant realities. Yesterday, the Players Association set an August 6th strike date. And when you talk to most informed observers, if pressed for a guess, they say yes, they think there will be a strike. In light of that, we asked Commissioner Uberoff if he plans to become more directly involved in the negotiations.
Well, I'm going to stay very active. Proactive and try and help them get their job done. There's the two sides. I'm not going to interfere with them because there's no place for the commissioner to interfere. And frankly, I don't agree with either of their sides. But I'm going to stay active. There's this great game tonight. I'm going to try and keep the focus on that, focus on baseball. And the fans are turning out in record numbers across this country. Baseball is part of the fabric of society, and I think we've got to keep it going all through the summer.
Now, on another subject, as you may know, the commissioner's office has been polling baseball fans this season concerning their feelings about the designated hitter. We thought we'd do the same tonight and see how you folks feel about this hot baseball issue. If you like the designated hitter rule, you can call us at 1-900-220-2322. If you don't like it, if you'd like to see it abolished, then the number to call is 1-900-220-2344. Each call costs 50 cents. NBC does share in the proceeds, but we will donate our share of the profits to charity. Now, a different poll was conducted last night during an NBC baseball and comedy special. We asked the nation's fans whether or not Mr. Baseball, Bob Uecker, should be in the Hall of Fame. A resounding 84% had the good sense to answer yes. Only 16% were spoil sports. So any day now, we expect to see Ueck in Cooperstown, right down there in the front row. Now, we'll be back here to the Metrodome in Minneapolis in just a few moments. But first, let's return to New York and an update from NBC News.
You know, one of the best things about being an ex-big leaguer is getting freebies to the game. Call the front office, bingo. And once these fans recognize me, I probably won't even have to pay for my light beer from Miller. Down it! I love them. These fans know I drink light because it's less filling and it tastes great. Good seats, huh?
You're in the wrong seat, buddy. Come on.
Oh, I must be in the front row.
Come on.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Good seats, hey, buddy? He missed the tag! He missed the tag!
The reaction in the background as some of the players from the National League begin to make their way out along the first base line. We're moments away from the introduction of the lineups, and that always sends some chills down the spines of the fans, both in the stands and watching at home. Let's go to the PA man, Bob Casey.
The coaches from the Chicago Cubs, number 8, Jim Fry. From the Houston Astros, number 5, Bob Lillis. The players from the Chicago Cubs, number 23, infielder Ryan Sandberg. From the Cincinnati Reds, number 14, infielder Pete Rose. Number 39, outfielder Dave Parker. From the Houston Astros, number 25, outfielder Jose Cruz. Number 34, pitcher Nolan Ryan. From the Los Angeles Dodgers, number 28, outfielder Pedro Guerrero, who is injured and unable to play. Number 34, pitcher Fernando Valenzuela. From the Montreal Expos, number 29, infielder Tim Wallach. Number 30, outfielder Tim Raines. Number 41, pitcher Jeff Reardon. From the New York Mets, number 12, pitcher Ron Darling. Number 16, pitcher Dwight Gooden. From the Philadelphia Phillies, number 12, outfielder Glenn Wilson. Number 17, catcher Ozzie Virgil. From the Pittsburgh Pirates, number 6, catcher Tony Pena. From the St. Louis Cardinals, number 22, infielder Jack Clark. Number 51, outfielder Willie McGee. From the San Diego Padres, number 1, infielder Gary Templeton. And number 54, pitcher Rich Gossage. From the San Francisco Giants, number 50, pitcher Scott Goreff. The manager from the 1984 National League champion San Diego Padres. He's making his 4th appearance as an all-star manager and his first for the National League. Number 23, Dick Williams. Now the starting lineup for the National League team. Leading off
playing left field. He led the National League in hitting in 1984. From San Diego, number 19, Tony Gwynn. Batting second and playing at second base. He is a second in the National League in both batting average and RBIs. From the St. Louis Cardinals, number 28, Tommy Herr. Batting third and playing first base, a two-time All-Star MVP from San Diego, number 6, Steve Garvey. Batting fourth and playing center field, the National League's MVP in both 82 and 83 from Atlanta, number 3, Dale Murphy. Batting fifth and playing right field, the 83 National League Rookie of the Year from the New York Mets, number 18, Darryl Strawberry. Batting sixth and playing third base, a six-time All-Star from San Diego, number 9, Greg Nettles. Batting seventh and catching a three-time All-Star from San Diego, number 16, Terry Kennedy. Batting eighth and playing shortstop, a five-time Gold Glove winner and a five-time All-Star from St. Louis, number 1, Ozzie Smith. Batting ninth and pitching, he's warming up in the bullpen to make his first All-Star appearance. He has won 10 straight games from San Diego, number 31, Lamar Hoyt.
We asked each manager if he was given a choice of one player from the opposing team to add to his club, who that player would be.
Well, I tell you the truth, I like that Gwynn from San Diego. I've seen him in the World Series. I've watched him a lot on TV, and
now
to me,
the
he
American
reminds
League
me of the
coaches
Bretts, the
in
Balls, the
non-starters.
Mattingleys. He's one of those guys that can do nothing but get base hits. He's just an outstanding hitter.
I'll take that shortstop at Baltimore, Ripken, and have him come over and join us for this one ball game. I love Ozzie Smith. I love Gary Templeton, the two that are representing the National League this year. But this young man is a few years younger than the other two, and he has some sock in his bat. And they say he's just an outstanding ball player in every phase of the game.
Well, Sparky Anderson will have to do without Tony Gwynn. Let's see who he does have on his roster as we return again to the PA man, Bob Casey.
Number 1, the trainer of the American League, Paulo De Silva from Detroit. From the Minnesota Twins, Dick Martin. From the coaching staff from Detroit, Alex Travis, number 51. Number 53 from Detroit, Dick Trzaski. Number 41 from Minnesota, Tom Kelly. From the Kansas City Royals, number 10, Dick Hauser. From the Toronto Blue Jays, number 6, Bobby Cox. And now the players for the Boston Red Sox in the bullpen. Catcher, Rick Gedman. Number 26, infielder, Wade Boggs. From the California Angels, number 37, pitcher Donnie Moore. From the Chicago White Sox, number 3, outfielder Harold Baines. From the Cleveland Indians, number 28, pitcher Bert Blyleven. From the Detroit Tigers, number 3, infielder Alan Trammell. Number 21, pitcher Willie Hernandez. Number 46, pitcher Dan Petrie. From the Milwaukee Brewers, number 4, infielder Paul Molitor. Number 15, infielder Cecil Cooper. From the Minnesota Twins, number 24, outfielder Tom Brzezinski. From the New York Yankees, number 23, infielder Don Mattingly. From the Oakland A's, number 50, pitcher Jay Howell. From the Seattle Mariners, number 29, outfielder Phil Bradley. From the Texas Rangers, number 32, outfielder Gary Ward. From the Toronto Blue Jays, number 7, infielder Damaso Garcia. Number 12, catcher Ernie Witt. Number 22, pitcher Jimmy Key. And number 37, pitcher Dave Steve. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the manager of the American League All-Stars from the world champion Detroit Tigers, the only manager in the history of the major leagues to have won World Series in both leagues. He's managing his 5th All-Star team and his 1st in the American League. Number 11, Sparky Anderson. And now the starting lineups for the American League team. Leading off and playing center field, the all-time single-season base-stealing champion from the New York Yankees, number 24, Ricky Henderson. Batting second and playing at second base, the 1978 Rookie of the Year from the Detroit Tigers, number 1, Lou Whitaker. Batting third and playing at third base, this is his 10th consecutive All-Star selection. From Kansas City, number 5, George Brett. Batting fourth and playing first base, he has hit over 300 and driven in more than 100 runs in 3 consecutive seasons. From Baltimore, number 33, Eddie Murray. Batting fifth and playing shortstop, he has led all major league shortstops in home runs and RBIs for 2 seasons. From the Baltimore Orioles, number 8, Cal Ripken. Batting sixth and playing in right field, a native of St. Paul, has a .375 average for 8 All-Star appearances from the New York Yankees, number 31, Dave Winfield. Batting seventh and playing in left field, a 7-time All-Star selection for the Boston Red Sox, number 14, Jim Rice. Batting eighth and catching, the American League home run leader with 23 and 10-time All-Star from the Chicago White Sox, number 72, Carlton Fisk. And batting ninth and pitching, he's warming up in the bullpen to make his 3rd All-Star appearance. He has won 2 games in the '84 World Series from Detroit, number 47, Jack Morris. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 of baseball's all-time greats who starred in the 1965 All-Star Game here in Minnesota and are with us tonight as the traditional honorary captains of the American and National League squads. For the National League, this great left-hander won the Cy Young Award 3 times and had a career winning percentage of .655 for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He was the winning pitcher here in the '65 game, a Hall of Famer, number 32, Sandy Koufax. The honorary captain for the American League, played 21 seasons with the Twins and remains one of the most popular figures here in the Twin Cities. He hit 573 home runs, ranking 5th in baseball history. A 13-time American League All-Star, Hall of Famer, number 3, Harmon Killebrew. The national anthems of Canada and the United States will be sung by the Metropolitan Boys Choir of the Twin Cities under the direction of Beatrice Speed Hasselman. would like to extend their thoughts and prayers to President Ronald Reagan for a complete recovery. Now, let's honor America with our national anthem.
Pitch is coming up. Vin Scully and Joe Garagiola will be here with the play-by-play right after these messages from your local stations.
NBC Sports presents the Stars from the National League against the Stars from the American League. Tonight, live from the Metrodome in Minneapolis, it's the 1985 All-Star Game. Brought to you by Ford, who invite you to drive the new Ford Escort. Have you driven a Ford lately? By light beer from Miller, everything you always wanted in a beer and less. And by Merrill Lynch, more resources, better solutions. They make Merrill Lynch people a breed apart. Once again, this is Vin Scully along with Joe Garagiola, welcoming you to the great indoors in Minnesota for this 1985 All-Star Game between the National and the American League. Before a full house, the exchange of lineup cards already made at home plate, as Dick Williams brought up all his coaches, Sparky Anderson came up with Harmon Killebrew, and in a moment, some kind of all-star history, because Nolan Ryan and Pete Rose will simultaneously throw out the first ball. Ryan to the All-Star squad for the 6th time in his career, baseball's all-time strikeout leader. He reached the 4,000 mark July the 11th, and he has 5 no-hitters. Rose for the 17th time selected to play an All-Star competition. 35 more hits to catch Ty Cobb. There they go. 2 of the great ones, Nolan Ryan and Pete Rose, on their way to the Hall of Fame. We'll be back right after this.
The following message is furnished by Major League Baseball. Now you can get your copy of the official All-Star program, the same one sold at the ballpark. The All-Star program is a collector's item with 92 pages of All-Star action past and present. To order your copy, send check or money order for $5 to all 8585 Trenton, New Jersey 08650. Make your check payable to All-Star Program. That's All-Star Program, Box 8585, Trenton, New Jersey. Allow 6 weeks for delivery.
Before we get to the starting lineups in the actual ball game, I think it would be a pretty good idea for Joe and me to take you hand in hand for a tour of the Hubert Humphrey Metrodome here in Minneapolis. And I guess starting down the left field line would be a normal spot. It is 343 feet from home plate to the left field corner. But the first thing that jumps to your attention is the left field wall.
There's a plexiglass. It was added. You could see why there were a lot of home runs and ground rule doubles. It was just right at the end of the blue canvas before. Now they've added the plexiglass.
It's about 13 feet high now.
It's 7 feet high, the fence, and you can see that the ball coming off that obviously would be in play. But, man, there must have been a lot of them jumping in there.
Well, as you move out into the power alleys, it's 385 into deepest left center. When you get to straightaway center at 408, that fence is only 7 feet high. Then you go to 367, down in the corner 327, and in the right field area, the wall has been covered so that that is 23 feet high. You really have to get it up to get it out. The ceiling here is something to see. When you first walk in here and you look up, it looks like countless number of sails that have been strung out to dry. And the first thought is somehow you've blundered into 2 years before the mast. But actually, it works out very, very well.
The players, when you hear about not being able to see the ball, you can't take your eye off the ball. In the outdoors, when you're looking for a fence, you take your eye off for a split second. Not here. You better, once you focus on that ball, stay on it, or you could be in deep trouble.
Now we'll come down to the ground and go right to the mound where Jack Morris is loosening up. Morris, who's from St. Paul, one of 3 in this game. Paul Molitor and Dave Winfield all hail from that fabled city. It's his 3rd All-Star game. As you can see, a record of 10-6. He started the 81 game in Cleveland, and he relieved in the 84 game in San Francisco.
He has a great fastball. The record shows that, a great slider, and you'll see, if you've been hearing about that term of the 80s, the split-finger fastball, here's a fellow who really throws one. He's got a great one, a split-finger fastball, and here we go.
Well, he'll be tested by Tony Gwynn, the left fielder, followed by Tommy Herr, and then Steve Garvey. 1 ball and no strikes. Defensively, you have Murray and Whitaker, Ripken and Brett, Rice, Henderson, and Winfield, and Fisk behind the plate. Gwynn, last year's National League batting champ, in there. Larry McCoy of the American League calling balls and strikes. John Kibler, who was here for the All-Star game in '65, is umpiring at first. Nick Bremigan at second. Charlie Williams at third. Off speed, fouled away. Drew Coble down the left field line. Randy Marsh of the National League down the right field line. And the lines are something to see here as we look at Tony Gwynn. The foul lines are red, white, and blue, and would you believe it, the base paths lead to bases that look like small American flags. Ground ball to the right side. Whitaker playing him deep and gets him. There is the bag. To slide in almost seems un-American. You should at least take your cap off.
And some of the averages that we've seen this year, a lot of the players feel that way.
Well, here is Tommy Herr. One big difference between the National and the American Leagues. The National League features 6 switch hitters. Tommy Herr and Ozzie Smith, 2 of the 6 in the starting lineup. 1 switch hitter for the American League, Eddie Murray. Tommy Herr, as you can see, with 3 home runs and 68 RBIs, is on track to do something that hasn't been done in a while. He could be the first player since George Kell back in 1950 had 100 RBIs with less than 10 home runs. The last time that happened in the National League in 1945 and 46, Dixie Walker of the old Brooklyn Dodgers. Tommy Herr. He's had 3 knee operations. He's been pretty well banged up, but he's had an outstanding season to win the nod over Ryan Sandberg. Foul back.
The infielders here use that marking around the infield, kind of the key on it, way deep. Look at Ripken at short, Whitaker back. That ball gets to you in a hurry.
On the hands, lifted back a short. Ripken going out. Rice coming in. Ripken. So Morris disposes of Gwynn and Herr, and now we'll go after Steve Garvey. It is interesting to think about what might have been. When Garvey graduated high school in Tampa, Florida, he was drafted by the Minnesota Twins in 1966. They offered him, in his words, somewhere around $8,500 to $9,000 to sign, and he said, no, I'm going to Michigan State. And he became a Dodger, and the rest is history.
If Jack Morris keeps throwing that breaking ball where he threw that one, nationally he's going to have big problems.
You know, I have a question for you, looking in at Carlton Fisk with the count 0-1. There's a shot to third. Staying right with it is George Brett, and Garvey is done, and will hold a question for later on. So the National League goes out in order 1-2-3. And at the end of half an inning, the National League nothing. The American League coming up, and Jack Morris can sit down. Bottom of the first inning.
There's an unusual look from our sky cam atop the pitcher. You can really see the stride that Lamar Hoyt. And you get a good look at where the landing area is, and that's a trouble spot for a lot of pitchers, because with this wide stride, it'll be interesting to see where Jack Morris lands, because that can really throw you off if indeed you're not hitting in approximately the same area.
I assume that could be a problem in any game, particularly an all-star game. Various pitchers with different strides really chewing up that hill.
It makes for a big problem, and that's why a lot of times you see them turn into real groundskeepers.
Lamar Hoyt of the San Diego Padres, the second Padre pitcher to ever start an all-star game. Randy Jones did it at Yankee Stadium in 1976. Lamar won 9 straight for the Chicago White Sox in 1982, and he comes in this game having won 10 in a row. Started that by beating the Mets the last week in May. Ricky Henderson, Lou Whitaker, and George Brett in that order.
Henderson doesn't give you much of a strike zone. His stats tell you the story, but I think Eckersley described him really well.
Well, Henderson in that familiar crouch, and the pitch up, ball 1.
Eckersley said that offensively he can turn a walk into a triple, and defensively turn a double into an out.
And he fouls that away, 1-1. This will be one of the many interesting matchups. Lamar Hoyt is a brilliant control pitcher. He's only walked 11 batters plus 2 intentional this year. And of course, Henderson in that crouch makes things very difficult for you.
He's got a strike zone about the size of a belt buckle. Look at it.
1 ball, 1 strike. Fastball hit over the mound, over second, into center field, and here we go.
Keep in mind that the manager said that those who can run have the green light. He can run anytime he wants. But Henderson said his ankle is a bit tender. He was going to make the decision after the workout tonight whether he would be running or not. If he is running, he'll take 3.5 steps off first base. That's as big a lead as he gets.
Well, he's already stolen 41 bases. The Yankee record is 74. He's well on his way. Held on by Garvey. And here is Lou Whitaker. And a funny thing happened to Whitaker on the way to the All-Star game. He forgot his uniform. And that's the sorriest excuse for a big league uniform. He had to go to a replica store and buy a shirt. Then he has somebody else's Detroit pants, and he's wearing Minnesota stockings. And he pops it in the air to right field. Strawberry signaling that he has the play. Henderson goes to the bag and holds, and now bluffs a bit to draw the throw to Tommy Herr. So Whitaker a fly ball, 1 away. Now George Brett. Look at that uniform, Joe.
They call that early truck. Truck got there about 7 o'clock, and he just barely got it before it took off again. That's amazing. You would forget your uniform, but stranger things than that have happened.
And you see that 1 on his back? The 1 is put there by a marking pencil. With 1 out, Henderson at first. Brett climbs in, leading the American League at 358. And of course, you remember in 1980 when he hit 390.
And I'll bet that uniform goes down with the pine tar bat.
Steve Garvey, Tommy Herr, Ozzie Smith, and Greg Nettles on the infield, with Tony Gwynn, Dale Murphy, and Darryl Strawberry in the outfield. Henderson a short lead. Increased it now, but bluffs. Usually the bell goes off when that runner's right foot hits the rug.
Well, you got Brett coming up there, and you got Murray coming up. The strategy says stay there, but with the way they're playing today, run at all times, and Henderson, we all know, can run, and he's got Hoyt really checking him out. There's his lead. 3.5 steps is what he says.
Now he's on the rug. There he goes. The pitch is high. The throw is late. Into center field. Backed up by Murphy. Henderson to third.
Very disruptive on those bases. Kennedy, the throw is a little bit low, and in goes Henderson over to third. And as we said, he can turn a walk into a triple. He turned a single. There he goes, head down. Slide, he actually picks up speed. He sees the ball in the center field.
Brett fouls it away, so George still up there. 1-2 the count. 3-2 the count. So Lamar Hoyt, who doesn't walk people, working on George Brett. Look at that. By the end of June, he's just exploded. Infield back. Fastball is lined to left, racing over is Gwynn to make the play. Henderson tags and will score.
There really is no substitute for speed.
And the throwing error, of course, by Terry Kennedy sets it up. Henderson could not have advanced to third on a line drive to left, so it is 1-0 American, and here is Eddie Murray. And he pops one up in the sailcloth, and it'll be Ozzie Smith. And that's that. So it's an unearned run. The American League will take it anyway. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 stolen base, and 1 very big error. At the end of an inning, American 1, National nothing.
This is Ricky Henderson. Look at the concentration. When he sees the thing that tells him I can make it, away he goes, and watch that head. Now he's still watching, and then 3, half, go. And the head's down. He's got one thing in mind, second base. That's a clean intent to steal, never looking back at the hitter. And of course, when the ball goes into second base, he goes to third, and there's that disruptive force. Vince Coleman, Willie Wilson, Ricky Henderson, I'm telling you, it just disrupts everything.
And of course, being very much aware of stolen bases, I was a little surprised that Tommy Herr was not able to back up Ozzie Smith and make sure that throw didn't go into center field. Tommy could not quite get there. So it is 1-0 American. It'll be Dale Murphy, Darryl Strawberry, and Greg Nettles in the second inning. Murph has not missed a regular season game since 1981, a remarkable competitor who has been in somewhat of a slump for the last 3 years. He's been hung on some very big numbers, 36 home runs and at least 100 RBIs. Strike.
With our center field shot, you can see that Fisk is the catcher with Morris, where he's moving around, giving him the location. And they try to keep that ball away from Murph, although you can't keep throwing out there. He'll sit on it.
I got a question for you. Remember about Carlton Fisk? That's popped up, and it'll be Cal Ripken. 1 away. The question before the house is, Carlton Fisk is the catcher for Jack Morris. Fisk in his career has only 2 hits in 35 at-bats against Jack Morris. That's .057. And the question is, in catching Morris tonight, would it possibly help him in hitting against Morris during the regular year, second half?
I say it would possibly and probably, and I'll tell you why.
Strike to Strawberry.
He'll be concentrating on all his pitches coming towards him, and he'll really be able to bear down on him.
One ball and 1 strike to Darryl. Strawberry, a shock, of course, to come in an all-star game hitting .229. It's as if he left 100 points hanging in his locker. Off speed, just low.
You watch his rhythmic swing, and you can see why this young man's going to be a good hitter, is a good hitter.
He's played the fewest games of any of the All-Stars this year. He's only been in 40 games because of the injury he suffered to his thumb. 2 balls, 1 strike. Fouled away. Here's the injury. Darryl Strawberry going after a ball hit down the line, dives, falls heavily on his right hand, jammed his thumb, and that was the end of a good portion of the first half of the season. But the fans haven't forgot him, and they count 2 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2.
He shook off the change of pace. We'll get a good idea of what this next one is as he put down the deuce. I'd say split finger fastball.
And it is whacked into left field for a base hit. So Jim Rice up with it. And you notice how very cautiously Rice played that base hit.
You wonder what a split finger fastball is and how it's thrown. Watch as Morris gets his hands back. Look at his finger. No, that was a fastball. That was a fastball.
So with Strawberry at first, here's Greg Nettles, the 36th player in All-Star history to play for both leagues. Goose Gossage, Nolan Ryan, and Dave Winfield also have that honor amongst the players involved in this one. And of course, it seems a shock to the National League not to have Mike Schmidt playing third. That's hit foul down the left field line, out of play. It's the first time in 6 years Schmidt hasn't started at third. Greg Nettles 5 times an American League All-Star.
Greg is strictly a pull hitter. He's got a gap between first and second. Of course, the ground ball, if Morris can get that ball the outside part of the plate and he tries to pull it, they've got themselves a double play.
Some folks might have forgotten that Greg Nettles broke in with the Twins and was then traded to the Indians and then the Yankees. 1 ball, 1 strike. Quite a while ago in 1976, he led the American League in home runs. Third base has been a somewhat of a disappointing area in the National League. Madlock, Horner, Schmidt, Guerrero, those were pretty big names at the start of the season. 1 ball, 1 strike. Strawberry goes. The pitch is swung on and missed. The throw is late, and Strawberry is at second with the count 1-2.
I thought Pete Rose had a pretty good answer for why the third baseman is such a lack of them. He said they've all moved to first.
Yeah.
Fisk had a good ball to handle. Looks like he shifted well. Just made a low throw. Strawberry in easily.
So the tying run at second base with 1 out. Nettles trying to pick up Strawberry, and Terry Kennedy on deck. 1-0 American. Top of the second, 1 away. High fly ball to shallow left. Rice comes up for it. So Terry Kennedy will be coming up with 2 out, and we'll pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is KYW-TV3 in Philadelphia.
There it is. Look at the split fingers that he's got the grip. And when that thing comes sailing towards you, you hit by the seams, which you pick up the rotation. You can really see him with that shot.
So Kennedy, who set up the American League run with the throw, now has a chance to get the National League even. And he is here because of the knee injury suffered by Gary Carter of the Mets. Off speed, fouled away, a little bit out in front of it. 1-1. As you might know, as you look at Terry Kennedy and his numbers, he's here for Carter. Ron Darling is here for Andujar. Rick Gedman is here for Parrish. And Glenn Wilson is here for Guerrero. Of the injured and absent and unaccounted for, Pedro Guerrero is here in uniform, but he will not play. Shot up the middle, base hit into center. Here comes Strawberry. Henderson is going to throw towards the plate, cut off by Whitaker, and we're all even at 1. So Kennedy give it, and Kennedy taketh away.
He hit it right back up the middle. Looked like he hit a breaking ball, sent it right back up the middle. Morris on his follow-through, it's not exactly a Rembrandt when he finishes. He's liable even on some of his follow-throughs fall down. He throws so hard, and this one comes right back up, and no way he can get it.
Now here's the Wizard of Oz, Ozzie Smith, the Cardinal shortstop, with Kennedy at first, 2 out and a run in, and a 1-1 tie. Ball 1.
And as always, with the catcher on at first base, Murray's playing behind him. He's not going to hold him on.
Terry Kennedy doesn't figure to do any running for sure, and Ozzie takes outside. Ball 2. 2-0. Then he lifts one back a third. Could be trouble. Brett will make the catch over the shoulder. Nice play. But the National comes back with 1 run, 2 hits. The ever-popular stolen base figures prominently. And at the end of an inning and a half, the National and American, they're even at 1.
We're here at the 18th hole of this light beer open, and we've seen some real unusual shots today.
You said it.
Hey, Bob, I think you got a birdie.
Elsie, how am I supposed to hit it through this tree?
No problem, Bert.
How's Yuka going to get out of this one?
That calls for another light beer for Miller.
Make it 2,
3,
4. It's a good thing light's less filling.
Back to you, Mickey.
John, the last player's approaching the tee.
And when it goes to 100, you sell. I won't be long, girls. Hold my calls, will you? It hit the weather vane. It's in the drain. Here it comes out. It's going on the green. Goes in the hole.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
This open ought to be closed.
You know, there was so much talk about the ball being hard to see. Brett makes a tough play, having really no problems finding the ball. That's really a tough play, and he makes it fairly easy.
The National League making a change in left field. Tony Gwynn comes out, and Jose Cruz is now in left field as Cal Ripken checks in at the plate. Ball 1. There's Jose.
One of the best kept secrets in baseball.
And how? Going to be 38 years old. Finally gets his day in the limelight.
He's one of those guys you wind up on opening day, and he goes out and has a good year every year.
Fastball hit to the hole, backhanded by Ozzie, who doesn't have much of a time to set, and throws him out.
I asked Ozzie if he was going to try to imitate Dave Concepcion and bounce the ball to first base on those long throws like this one. He said, no, I'm going to set myself. I won't gun him out because my shoulder is tender, but I'll get it over there, and he did.
You know, he's the first infielder I ever saw take batting practice and then take infield, where he had one coach do nothing but hit high choppers, and he tried to backhand and short hop every one of them. And he backhanded and short hopped just about every one.
Look where he is playing now. He's in really short left field on Winfield.
Strike. Dave Winfield with Ozzie almost in what, Edina?
He's going to have to run up to throw the ball if he gets it, I'll tell you.
Good.
There's a good shot of Ozzie keying in on that line. You know, watching Lamar Hoyt, they describe him many ways, easy going, control this. I like his own expression. He says it is relaxed aggression.
Well, Lamar Hoyt even 1-1 here in the second inning, working on a guy in a baseball uniform who might have been here in a football uniform when you think about the fact that the Minnesota Vikings drafted Winfield, 17th round draft choice in '73. Ground ball to the right side to Tommy Herr. Over to Garvey for the second out. 2 down. That'll bring up Jim Rice. Four times in his brilliant career, Rice has had that most coveted of offensive seasons. 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, and a .300 average. Lifetime average above 300. 6 times he's had 100 RBIs or more a year. Fastball, and he popped it to right field. Strawberry coming to the line. So Rice is late on a good fastball, and the American League is out in order. At the end of 2, a 1-1 tie. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. We're going to the bottom of the second inning in a 1-1 tie. By the way, remember the question at the start of the game. Are you in favor of the designated hitter? If your vote is yes, you dial that number. No, you dial that. It'll cost 50 cents per call. And at the end of the show, we'll give you the tally in the vote. And we move on to the third inning now in a 1-1 tie. By the way, NBC's share of the proceeds will be donated to charity. Here's Lamar Hoyt, a slimmed down version of the star in the American League. In 1983, he weighed 270. This year, he weighs 228. Cy Young Award winner in 1983, swinging the bat. He's gotten 4 hits so far over in the National League. That's a strike. 0-2.
It's pretty apparent that Morris is calling his own game. Fisk is trying to get in sync, but it's pretty difficult when you haven't caught a fella to get right into the groove.
So down goes Lamar Hoyt. 1 away, and Jose Cruz coming up. Ball 1. It's an unbelievable fact. Last year, Cruz led the Astros in home runs, despite not hitting a home run at home all year. All of his home runs were hit on the road. And he is an Iron Man. He's in there all the time. In 8 years before this season, he had missed a total of only 36 games. Cruz was picked for another All-Star game back in 1980, but he didn't get into the ball game. 1-2. And that was bounced in front of the plate. You look at Cruz, it seems like his bat is 4 feet tall. He really covers home plate with that thing, and the plate umpire, Larry McCoy, put a new ball in play.
That's one of those plays that gets lost in a ball game, but it was a good play by Fisk, because with 2 strikes, if it gets by him and Cruz swings, he's on at first base. He made sure he got in front of it and blocked that ball nicely.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Jose Cruz with 1 out in the third.
Who really knows except the catcher's mother, right?
And you. You're a collector of catchers. High bouncer up towards first. Murray hesitated, feeds back to Morris, and got him. Eddie Murray was a little timid, afraid that ball might kangaroo on him, but Morris alertly covered to handle it.
It's one of those plays that can only happen in a place like this. He finally gets it. Morris gets there a bit late and really steps on the bag in bad shape. He got watch where his right foot gets. Too far over. He should get the inside the bag. He got that blue section instead of the red section, and he could have been stapled.
You see him duck. He thought Cruz was coming right up over his bag.
Certainly did.
So with 2 out in the third, a 1-1 tie. Here's Tommy Herr. He popped up to short in the first inning. One ball and no strikes. You know, a lot of people think that the Metrodome is a home run haven, but they did a survey here, and it really isn't that much way at all. In 1984, it ranked 8th among American League stadiums in which home runs were hit. That's another 3-footer in front of the plate. 2 balls and no strikes.
Here's the last play. Look where his foot is, and that's the way you get hurt. And Morris was kind of expecting to get hit, and he ducked in much like a turtle, but Cruz avoided him, and it's a good thing.
So Tommy Herr, 2 down in the third inning. Line to left field. Rice coming over. It's going to hit and go high in the air, and that means Herr can keep on going. And he has a stand-up double on what should have been a line drive single.
That's a typical artificial surface hit. It's a 2-base hit, but it really, as Vin says, should have been a single. But look how far back Rice has to play, and it almost gets over his head as it is. He has to jump for it, and the momentum carries him, but it's the high bounce that made for the extra base.
So now Steve Garvey with 2 out, trying to get the National out in front. If you remember, Terry Kennedy had a 2-out single to drive in the tying run.
Strategy usually takes a back seat in an all-star game, but with first base open and 2 outs, you say, can you pitch around him? Not in an all-star game. You got to pitch around 8 guys to get to the guy you want to get to.
Fastball whacked up the middle. So Tommy Herr will score unmolested, and the National leads 2-1. So you can see that base hit to left field that took the kangaroo hop is cashed in for the go-ahead run. Boy, you're right in there with the guys.
Yeah, great place for that microphone.
Maybe.
Not when you knock in a run, it's all right.
It's all right.
You know, you could use that at the Holy Name meeting, that conversation.
Here's Murphy, popped up to short in the second inning. It is 2-1 National in the third inning.
Whoop.
Ball one. Murphy in the top 6 in the National League in all the muscle department. Home runs, RBIs, runs, slugging percentage, you name it. Dale Murphy, the tower of strength out of Atlanta. And he lifts one to shallow center. Henderson, look out. Look at that thing bounce like a golf ball. Murphy will go to second. Garvey stops at third.
Henderson, he thought he might make a shoestring catch, and then he thought better of it because if it bounces over his head, look out. And that thing really jumped up.
I think what happened to Ricky, he didn't know that Dale Murphy was jammed. And as he started to come in on the ball, it almost went over his head. He got a poor jump to start off with.
Well, you get those big swingers. They take a big swing like he does, but really doesn't hit it that hard. I mean, on a fat part of that bat. And Ricky starts in and says, I better back up, and it almost gets over his head. I took a baseball yesterday and just kind of threw it down, and I'm telling you, it's about a 12 or a 15-foot bounce.
So Jack Morris, with 2 out in the third inning, has given up a double, a single, and another double, although each double was really a single, if you get the message. And with Garvey at third and Murphy at second, Darryl Strawberry the hitter. Strawberry singled in the second inning and came around to score, having stolen second base. 2-1 National in the third. Ball one. Big rip. Came up empty, way out in front of it.
Change speeds well on that one.
Ball two. Good one. Change very high. Three and two. In the dirt. A good save by Carlton Fisk. Otherwise, another run is over, and the bases are loaded. That's the first walk given up by Jack Morris.
Fisk is really doing a great job of getting that body in front of the ball. Catching it is a bonus. Getting in front of it is the job. Now look at here. No way that ball was going to get by him. Now they got all these other statistics, you know, game-winning RBIs and RBIs with the full moon. Here comes Sparky. They ought to have a statistic for that. Run saved by great plays by catchers. Watch this thing bounce. It's 60 feet 6 inches from the mound to home plate. That was a 57-footer.
You'll be happy to know, recently in Pittsburgh, the catcher never gets any applause at all for saving a run. But Tony Pena got an ovation for making a catch of what otherwise would have been a wild pitch. For all catchers everywhere.
Great.
Jimmy Key, the youngest of the American League All-Stars at 24, 2 days younger than Don Mattingly, the left-hander out of Huntsville, Alabama. And Toronto had not had a win by a left-handed starter since 1980 before Jimmy Key.
Here's how his manager, Bobby Cox, describes him. He said he has great poise. He's got a pitch inside, especially to the right-hand hitters. He's got all the pitches. He'll throw sinkers to right-hand hitters. Good command, no trick pitches, good curveball, keeps the ball down.
I was thinking, as you see Bobby Cox and Dick Hauser, the feeling that Sparky Anderson had in bringing Key in to bail him out of a jam. It was just a month ago that Jimmy Key had a no-hitter going against Detroit until Tom Brookins singled in the 9th inning. But now Sparky needs him for help with the bases loaded, 2 out, and Greg Nettles at the plate. And that's lifted foul off third. Brett might have a play. He's got it. One run 3 hits and a walk, 3 left. Middle of the third, 2-1 National.
Lots of hustle, that's our repeat. That's why he's eating what the big boys eat. Loved his Wheaties since he was small. Now dig in, big boy, have a ball. Classic hits of crunchy wheat. Pure and simple, not too sweet. Dive right into those Wheaties feet. Now go tell your mama what the big boys eat.
When players talk about losing the ball, they're looking up at this, and this is what they see. Now watch Brett. Remember we said you can't take your eye off the ball. Watch him try to feel for the fence. There he goes. Where am I? He's pretty much saying to himself. And he realizes that he still has plenty of room, makes the play. And another little problem, there was no the temporary seats, there's no warning track. So he didn't want to take his eye off the ball, and he kept trying to feel for it.
Now as we go to the bottom of the third inning, 2-1 in favor of the National League. Carlton Fisk, followed by Harold Baines, who will bat for Jimmy Key, and then Ricky Henderson. Before this year, a career high for Carlton Fisk was 26 home runs on 3 different occasions. And here's Fisk checking in at home plate, having already hit 23 this year. And as you can see, 5 of his last 7 have gone the distance. One reason for his increased power, an off-season strengthening program he went on. 4-1. He works out about 90 minutes 3 times a week.
And keeps going during the season. After the games, he stays till after midnight, 1 o'clock some mornings, working with the weights.
But I'll tell you what, how strong he is. He doesn't really need an extra program. He had to be strong last year. Carlton Fisk last year caught all 25 innings of a game with Milwaukee that was suspended and spread over 2 days. It was the most innings anyone has ever caught in a major league game. 25. 1 ball, 1 strike. Good breaking ball. See Hoyt drop his arm and then break it across. 1-2. You
could see Fisk say that ball's high.
Fastball, and it's whacked to left center. Murphy on the run, backhands it. Dale Murphy, a Gold Glove winner 3 consecutive years, showed you why. He not only got a good jump, but he was there. No problem seeing the ball.
He saw it immediately and made the play.
Harold Baines. He's only 26 years old, and this is his 6th full year in the majors. What a player. Averaging 99 RBIs a year over the last 3.
Good first ball hitter.
Little foul off to the left, out of play, and the count 0-1. A year ago, he hit 3 home runs in a game here. So he knows this part. 1-2 to count. It'll be September of last year.
Chicago's Harold Baines slowed Minnesota's bid for the Western Division crown when he crushed 3 home runs in 1 game. Baines also smacked another the next night, 28 for the season, as the Sox swept the Twins.
A shot down the right field line for a base hit. Strawberry in the corner to backhand, and being left-handed, he holds Baines to a long single. If he was a right-handed thrower, Baines would have taken the extra base.
He showed his arm on that play. Baines looked like he hit a breaking ball, and you'll see it coming right at you. No chance for Garvey to make the play. Watch him backhand this ball and come up throwing. Right to the cutoff man.
We better see that, looking at All-Stars. And here's Ricky Henderson. Open up the game with a single to center. Stole second, took third on Kennedy's throwing error, came home on the scoring fly ball by George Brett. Ball 1, breaking ball missed. Henderson figures to be the stolen base king. But now this year, he is definitely a candidate for the batting crown. And the last player to win both in each league, you have to go back to George Snuffy Sternweiss of the Yankees in 1945, Jackie Robinson of the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1949. 2-0. High chopper to third. Nettles is there. Over to Garvey. On the play, Baines advances to second, and that'll bring up Lou Whitaker. Take a look at Whitaker and the back of his shirt. You'll see that familiar number 1, but it is not a numeral that has been sewn on, and there's no name on the shirt. That's a marking pencil. Pretty good one.
Much like Baines, you get that first ball in the strike zone. Whitaker usually takes a hack at it.
First ball driven to right. Strawberry is there to handle it. So Whitaker hits it hard, but right at Darryl Strawberry and right. The American leaves a tying run at second base in Harold Baines, and at the end of 3, National 2, American 1.
The last pitch to Whitaker, you wonder what a palm ball looks like? Watch the delivery here. Right there. Look at that. Right in the palm. Uses it as an off-speed pitch, and there's the rotation. And as Killebrew said, the way to hit it effectively is to hit it between the seams. And if you believe that...
Got some land in Florida.
That's right.
Terry Kennedy will start it off. He'll be followed by Ozzie Smith and then Lamar Hoyt spot. And with Nolan Ryan throwing in the pen, Dick Williams is thinking hitter. Meanwhile, on the mound, Bert Blyleven becomes the third pitcher for the American League. He won the 200th game of his career last month. A career ERA of 3, and there's a ground ball to Eddie Murray, and he'll do it himself. 1 away.
And the very first pitch, he threw his bread and butter pitch. It was the overhand curveball, and he's got a dandy.
With Ozzie Smith coming up, Gary Templeton is coming out on deck, and Templeton will bat for Lamar Hoyt. There's Blyleven's numbers. Of course, he'd like to be traded, but he must now clear waivers. That means every team in the American League would have to pass on purchasing him for a minimal fee. That's usually routine, but Blyleven is so much sought after. It doesn't appear he'll get through waivers at all. Detroit would certainly take him and his salary before letting Toronto trade for him, and the Indians aren't going to let him go for just a waiver price, so he's still in place. High twisting foul off to the left, out of play, and the count 0-2.
If you wonder what it's like to be a catcher and have an umpire call a strike, the next time we see a strike, we're going to let you listen to Larry McCoy. He'll clean out your sinuses when he calls a strike.
No balls, 2 strikes. Interesting confrontation here. High chopper back to the left of the mound. Barehanded by Levin and got him. Fine play by Bert to barehand and throw.
And George Brett had something to say to him. He could not have made the play if he two-handed it. It was a do or die because that artificial surface, up it goes, and Bert grabs it barehanded in position to throw and just does get him. And Ozzie Smith gets out of the batter's box in pretty good shape. He sees a base hit inside, and he's digging hard. Look at Jim Fry, the coach. Watch him duck it. Did you see him put his head down?
So here's Gary Templeton now batting for Lamar Hoyt. Templeton banged up. He's had a sprained right ankle on Saturday. Gary certainly set up some impressive numbers. Chased that one. 0-2. You might remember when he was 21, he had 200 hits, and at age 23, he got 100 hits from each side of the plate. He's quite a hitter. Fisted foul. Dick Williams says that Gary Templeton has the best arm of any shortstop in the major leagues. I don't know if he'll get a chance to display it tonight or if he's just going to hack away and go sit back down. No balls, 2 strikes. 2 out in the 4th. 2-1 National. And where was that one? Carlton Fisk can't believe it. George Brett is saying, ask Charlie Williams. You take a look.
Well, they ruled that he did not go around.
1-2. And he probably bangs it to center. And of course, the American League is saying we had him struck out. So a 2-out single by Gary Templeton. Hit number 1 of Blyleven, number 6 for the National League, and the batter now, Jose Cruz. Cruz 0 for 1. Tony Gwynn started the game and grounded out, and Jose grounded out in the 3rd inning. Ball 1, 1-0.
You could see Fisk asking Blyleven to take a look, give me a chance.
And there goes Templeton, and he stumbled. The throw down to Murray, and he got back to the bag.
And Cruz was in his way at home plate. Carlton had to double pump, and when he double pumped, he lost the play. If he could have come up throwing, he would have had him at first base, because Gary's going. Now, he gives it a good break, realizes he's in no man's land, makes a U-turn, and just does get back. But Fisk was ready to throw and then had to double pump.
And remember, he's playing on running on a bad ankle. 3-0, the count to Jose Cruz. They let him swing, and he was way out in front of it. Hit off the end of the bat. 3-1. Just couldn't wait for it.
Dick Williams, he just says this is a ballpark and a game where you let them rip. Let them rip.
We'll see if they play run and hit now. Templeton goes. Nope. And it is ball 4 to Jose Cruz. So 2 on, 2 out, and Tommy Herr coming up. So with 2 on and 2 out, Tommy Herr trying to open it up. It's 2-1 National, top of the 4th inning. Breaking ball rolled wide to Murray. He'll overhand to Blyleven coming to the bag, and that's it. No runs, 1 hit, 2 left. At the end of 3 1/2, the National League 2 and the American League 1. Well, a couple of things are happening so far. First of all, we've seen the ball take the high bounce that we expected, and we've seen some extra base hitting, and we've seen some strong pitching as well.
Well, everybody thought, and we're included, that there'd be a lot of home runs, because especially after the home run hitting contest, but the pitchers always have a way of getting to the fireworks and wetting down the fuse so it can't go off.
I'll give you an idea. They played in Fenway Park, the one tie in All-Star history. Fenway Park, 9 innings, 1-1.
1-1.
Good pitching will do it every time. It'll be George Brett, Eddie Murray, and Cal Ripken against Nolan Ryan in the 4th inning. The National League making several changes. Tim Wallach is now at 3rd base. Ryan Sandberg is at 2nd, and Ossie Virgil is now behind the plate. We'll pick them off one at a time. Brett had the scoring fly ball and grounds it to Ryan Sandberg. Over to Garvey, 1 away. If you're keeping score along with us, we're checking to see how these fellas are going to hit. That's the way they're set up defensively behind Ryan. So with 1 out, here is Eddie Murray. Nolan Ryan is going into Tommy Herr's spot since Herr made the last out. Ossie Virgil will go in Terry Kennedy's spot, and Virgil now will be called on to handle a foul ball. A nice touch. Ossie's dad is here as coach for the San Diego Padres. He's with Dick Williams, so he has his son in the game.
You could see Ossie Virgil take a 2nd look, because that was a tough play. Take a 3rd look. That was a difficult play. He kept his eye right on it, and now you can see he's talking to Larry McCoy, who's saying, hey, I think I had a little trouble with that one myself. That's a tough play to begin with.
Here now is Cal Ripken. Ripken grounded out in the 2nd inning. By the way, we're talking about Ossie Virgil and his dad. The Ripkens were represented on the American League All-Star team last year. Father and son. Great moment. If you are keeping score, we can give you the offensive alignment now for the National League. Ground ball to short. Ozzie Smith beyond the rim throws him out. So we'll give you the National League when they're hitting in the 5th inning. At the end of 4, it's the National League 2, the American League 1, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
You may know who got the most hits, who stole the most bases, who caught or missed the most balls. But do you know which company's financial strength protects every single major league ball player? It is the Equitable that helps them live the good life.
In the 5th inning, Steve Garvey, Dale Murphy, and Darryl Strawberry against Bert Blyleven. Breaking ball strike, 0-1.
How can they say that's an optical illusion?
Garvey with all kinds of glistening credentials, 1 for 2 tonight. Grounded out and then singled up the middle to put the National out in front. Whoop, in on the hands. 0-2.
The first 2 pitches were really, when you hear people talk about a good overhand curveball, and the second one, the riding fastball in on the right-hand batter. You could see that just bore its way inside.
0-2. Ground ball to the hole, backhanded by Ripken, sets for the throw, gets him. Nice play, made it look very easy. So Cal Ripken plugs up the hole.
Here's Blyleven with the curveball, the overhand curveball. Look at that arm come around. The sidearm, that was the last one he threw. Look at the follow-through where he is on the outside part of that plate. Garvey tried to pull it, and that's what you do when you try to pull it. The nice ground ball.
Dale Murphy, only the 2nd Brave to lead in All-Star voting. Henry Aaron led in 1970 and 1971. Murph popped up and doubled in the 3rd inning. Strike. Darryl Strawberry on deck. Down in the American League bullpen, since Blyleven is due to bat 4th in the bottom of the 5th. They get Dave Steve up there.
If this guy gets through waivers, they're going to have to make more deals than a dealer in Vegas to get him through, I'll tell you.
Maybe that's why he's wearing a beard. They're going to smuggle him through.
Oh, they're going to have to at midnight.
2-2. Fastball punched him out. So he threw a lot of slow curves and then the express. And Blyleven picks up his first strikeout. 2 down in the 5th inning.
What did it look like? Here it is. Good follow through. Ready for the ball to be hit back. 86.
86. That's a perfect number to cut off a guy at the plate, right? 86 him.
Now with 2 down, Darryl Strawberry takes ball 1. Strawberry singled and walked, scored the tying run in the 2nd inning. Strike. 1-1.
You notice those good pitchers when they got the good stuff, they can't wait to get the ball. I mean, this game is picked up. Give me the ball. Boom, 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 boom. Why not?
That's a strike. 1-2.
Now you put down number 2 and see what happens.
Another breaking ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Darryl Strawberry. And some youngsters dreaming about their day in the sun and wearing a New York Mets hat. Ball 3.
It's about what Gary Carter's doing, Vin, sitting home watching the game with his Mets cap on.
And apparently that got a little bit of Darryl Strawberry, maybe on the foot. And hit by the pitch, he's awarded first. Yeah, Gary Carter wanted to be here. Lance Parrish wanted to be here. Pedro Guerrero wanted to be here and is here. And Joaquin Andahar is spelled W-A-L-K-I-N-G. Tim Wallach will be coming up now. Remember, Wallach took over at 3rd for Greg Nettles. And Blyleven and Fisk getting their signs squared away. Wallach had one of those great moments. He had a home run, his first major league at bat. That was way back in 1980. 2 down in the 5th inning, 2-1 National. 4-1.
Wallach was a member of Cal State Fullerton's NCAA champions of 1979. He was the college player of the year that year.
Oh, yeah, he's got all kinds of tools. Montreal just waiting for him to really explode, and this has been a down year for him in power. Strawberry goes, and it's whacked down the left field line. Fair ball. Kangaroos up into the seats, and let's see, they'll send Strawberry back to third. So Tim Wallach drills it in the left field corner, and the Nationals have runners at second and third with 2 out. Hit number 2 of Blyleven, and hit number 7 for the National League.
Remember, both managers told the fellows who can run, go ahead, take it on your own. And even though Strawberry was hit by a pitch ball, a miraculous cure, and he took off and was running when Wallach hit that ball.
3 doubles now for the National League. Doubles by Tommy Herr, Dale Murphy, and now this one by Tim Wallach. Virgil, with a slightly separated shoulder, May the 11th, and a collision with the Mets' Kelvin Chapman. He was the backup catcher to Bo Diaz for the last couple of years at Philadelphia, but then Diaz was hurt last year. Ozzie took over, and here he is in the All-Star game. And with his dad in the Nationals dugout rooting for him. Strike.
Just wonder what that ball bouncing in the stands. Strawberry running all the way, and with 2 outs, he conceivably could have scored. I think he would have scored, so it did cost the National League 1 run, that artificial surface bounce.
0-1 to count to Virgil. On deck, Ozzie Smith. Ground ball to the hole. That's going to go through. Strawberry scores. Wallach coming to the plate will beat Rice's throw. Ball gets away from Fisk. Virgil is going to second. Blyleven's throw got him. Put 2 more in the bank. And at the end of 4½.
Here's the base hit by Virgil, a good fastball hitter. He hits a curveball in the hole to left field. Rice comes up throwing. Fisk, the runner, kind of gets in the way. You can see Fisk had a weight, gets by him. Now Blyleven alertly backing up the play, bounces the ball to second base. And Whitaker puts the tag on Virgil, but 2 runs are in.
So if you're scoring 7-1-4 on the throw from Rice to Blyleven, and then back to Whitaker, and it is 4-1 National in the bottom of the 5th inning. The National making some more changes with Dave Winfield at the plate. Ball 1. You now have Jack Clark at first, Willie McGee in center, Dave Parker in right. We'll give you how they're hitting offensively. Line drive hammered to center for Winfield. He's 1 for 2. So Winfield, area boy from St. Paul, singles, and the batter will be Jim Rice. Jack Clark is in Steve Garvey's spot, number 3. Willie McGee is in Dale Murphy's spot, number 4. And Dave Parker in right field is in Darryl Strawberry's spot, number 5. Jim Rice, who of course leads the majors in grounding into double plays most years, pitching the dirt. Ball 1. He set a major league record last year when he grounded into 36, so it's no shock to know he's leading the majors with 28. But of course, he does more than ground into double plays. He can get them well with 1 swing. It is 4-1 National as Rice checks in against Nolan Ryan. Two balls and no strikes. Busted bat foul. He'll have to go get another. Us bad hitters can hear that with 60,000 people screaming. It's like a celery stalk. So he's gone to the woodpile.
Ryan went to his strength, which was his fastball, got it inside, and you can see that Rice, he was determined to swing if it was a fastball, and he just got it right at the trademark, and, well, it's a souvenir for somebody.
So Nolan Ryan working on Jim Rice. Boy, that's the high rent district, isn't it? 2-1 to Jim. High pop foul behind the plate. Ozzie coming back. No play. It's on the other side of the screen. Foul back. The paid attendance here, 54,960. That's the largest crowd ever to see a baseball game in Minnesota. Great.
Winfield has good speed, but he was not running. They want to make sure Rice, I guess, doesn't get distracted.
3-2 with nobody out. Winfield goes. Fastball, foul tip, the throw down. Too late, and he came off the bag, but he reached back and grabbed it. So Rice is blown away, and Winfield steals second.
He's on his own. He's digging, not even looking to see what happens to Rice. And watch Sandberg make the tag. Now Winfield goes past the bag. Sandberg turns, and here's where Winfield goes back in through the back door. He's not looking back at the hitters, so he's looking for that bag.
It will come as no surprise to the hitters in the National League who are watching this game. Nolan's fastball that just punched out Jim Rice, 95 miles per hour. You know, the all-time record for strikeouts in a 9-inning game is 19. It's shared by 3 pitchers, and Ryan has witnessed all 3. Half swing on a breaking ball, no swing, says John Kibler. Of course, Ryan pitched one himself. He was on the Mets when Steve Carlton struck out 19 in 1969, and he was on the Mets the next year when his teammate Tom Seaver fanned 19 Padres. You're looking at a man who's had 19 games where he has struck out 15 or more, if you can imagine it. Most pitchers never strike out 15 in a game. And he's done it 19 times. 1-0 to Fisk. With Blyleven due up, they have Cecil Cooper out on deck. 1 out in the 5th inning. There's Coop. 4-1 National League. Ryan, of course, reached the 4,000 strikeout mark last Thursday night against the New York Mets. 2-0. Fastball, and that's hit into left center field. Here comes Cruz to make the catch.
That's a whole lot like the ball that was hit by Murphy that Henderson had to wait for. It was a big swing, wasn't hit that hard, and Cruz broke a little bit late and then made the play.
Cecil Cooper, a left-hand hitter coming up, and of course Sparky Anderson still has sitting on the bench Wade Boggs, Don Mattingly, and Ernie Witt to hit left-handed. So here's Cecil Cooper. He really tailed off in home runs, and it could very well be just the sign of time taking its toll. 1 ball and no strikes. He went from 30 home runs in '83 to 11 last year, 5 so far this year. He has Winfield at second with 2 out. 4-1 National in the 5th.
When you talk about unique stances, you certainly have to talk about Cecil Cooper. An open stance, but the one thing he does, as he gets set for the pitch, watch him shift his way to his back foot, ready to bring it forward like all good hitters. There it is, coming back with it.
That missed. He had 7 straight years where he hit over 300, and of course in 1980 he hit 352 and finished a distant second to George Brett, because that was the year Brett hit 390, and along the way he's picked up 2 Gold Gloves. 4-1 National, 2 out, Winfield at second in the 5th. So Cooper draws the walk, and Ricky Henderson will represent the tying run with 2 out and 2 on.
Henderson with that stance, you talk about unique stances. Here's another one, a very small strike zone, but he brings that bat into the hitting area in good shape. He doesn't get straight up. He stays low and goes right into it, and if he gets his pitch, we know he can bring that fence in very close.
So Winfield at second, Cooper at first, 2 out. 4-1. So Ryan now just missing. Outfield about straight away. Got the corner. 1-1. Whoa, fastball driving him out of there. A little smoke on that, baby.
When you can make the catcher's mitt that Ozzie Virgil is using, when you can make that pop, you're really throwing. The gun had him at 90 because that thing is just a big pillow. It's an undersized pillow is what it is.
2 balls and 1 strike to Ricky Henderson, battling a man with 5 no-hitters, Nolan Ryan. 3. And this big crowd comes alive now, and hold everything. It got the corner. So Henderson, as McCoy, it seemed like he had already let the pitch go, and then the right hand came up. So checking to make it 2-2. Dave Winfield at second, Cecil Cooper at first. In the 5th inning, 4-1 National.
That was just a pitch he wanted to come inside, but I'll tell you something, that is about as effective a fastball as you want to throw. 92 miles an hour, and Ricky's ready to hit it, and then he says, let's get out of here, let's get on the boat and take off. I mean, he goes straight down, and now you have to go up knowing you have to face him one more time. So that trip to the dentist is not a bad idea at all.
So the runners will be going 3-2 and 2 out. Winfield and Cooper. Runners go. Fastball got him swinging. A 94-mile-an-hour fastball takes care of Ricky Henderson. The American leads 2, and it's 4-1 National at the end of 5. So far, we've received over 100,000 telephone calls, so there's a great deal of interest. Are you or are you not in favor of the designated hitter? If you answer yes, use the appropriate number, or no, it'll call 50 cents per call, and at the end of the ball game, we'll have the tally for you. Damaso Garcia takes over at second base. Ernie Whitt goes behind the plate, and Dave Stieb on the mound. If you are keeping score, put Damaso Garcia in Whitaker's spot. Number 2. Put Whitt in Carlton Fisk's spot, number 8. And then put Stieb, number 9. Ozzie Smith, Ryne Sandberg, and Jose Cruz are due up. Down in the National League bullpen, Fernando Valenzuela begins to loosen up. Big show last year when Fernando and Dwight Gooden struck out 6 in 2 innings. Talking about strikeouts, that's one thing Ozzie rarely does. About 4% of the time is all. Lifts a fly ball slicing to left center, moving over is Henderson. The 1 down, and Ryne Sandberg coming up.
Again, if you're wondering about Steve, his manager Bobby Cox says outstanding fastball, good command. His best pitches is slider and fastball, and he's got an overhand curveball that he throws to left-hand hitters, and he'll come 3/4 to a right-hand hitter, and then he throws what Bobby calls a dead fish. And when he throws that, I wait to see what happens, because in the middle of the pitch, I'm going, oh.
Rhino, as they call him at Wrigley Field, ball 1, 1-0. Sandy Koufax, the honorary captain, takes a turn at coaching first. 1 ball and no strikes. 1-1.
That was the hard slider.
Bob Lillis still over at third. Dave Stieb is pitching as many All-Star games as the other 7 American League pitchers combined. 1 ball, 1 strike. Good fastball. You might remember, unfortunately, that Dave Stieb was forced to hit in an All-Star game in Cleveland.
Well, you hate to say it, but Jimmy Fry has put himself in an embarrassing position. Down by 1, having to let his pitcher hit. But Steve has swung a bat before in the minor leagues, but with the DH in the American League, he hasn't. He's been in the major leagues. And that's what the boos are for. There's nobody left, and that is because of not the crink, but the chink in the armor.
That's the first game. You're looking at another historical event. It's the first at bat in the major leagues for Dave Stieb.
Yeah.
Pitcher Dave Stieb of Toronto must now bat for himself, as the American League has used all its pinch hitters. Stieb, who has batted only once in the major leagues, gets his second chance here and becomes out number 2.
Struck out on 3 pitches against Bruce Sutter. 1-2. Got him on the inside corner. What a great pitch. Oh,
that was that 3/4 curveball that he throws. And after you throw the good hard fastball, the hard slider, and throw that one, there's not much you can do as a hitter but just watch it sail by. Here's a good look at it. Got to get that ball the outside part of the plate. Sandberg kind of gave up on it, thinking it was going to stay inside because he starts it right at the hitter. That's the key.
Jose taking ball 1, 1-0. Dave Stieb could have had a much better record this year when you realize that in the games in which he did not win, his ERA is well under 3. And he didn't win any of those games. Neither his walks nor his strikeout totals are extravagant. He just gets people out. One and one, now 2-1. Donnie Moore begins to throw in the American League bullpen. 4-1 National with 2 out, bases empty, top of the 6th. That's a strike.
One of the other things you want to point out as we take a look at Donnie Moore on Dave Stieb, he's so effortless. It looks like he's not throwing hard at all, and all of a sudden here he comes at you with really good stuff.
2-2. Tell you how tough he is. In his last 11 games, Stieb's earned run average is 1.1, and he has a record of 6-2. You'd figure he'd certainly be undefeated. Fastball, and he missed with it. So Nolan Ryan is due up. He is taking the windbreaker off, and Noli will come up and hit. Looking back at the dugout all the while. I'd like to remind our viewers who will be selecting the NBC Light Beer from Miller Player of the Game at the conclusion of the ball game. We have a long way to go. Ryan is hitting in the number 2 slot, and Jack Clark is on deck. Ball 1.
Phones may be starting to jump off the hook because with the DH, we'd have a DH up there.
That's right.
So there's no DH in the All-Star game.
You know, talking about the DH, that's what makes a pitcher in the American League's earned run average so remarkable. When you talk about a Dave Stieb and his ERA is 1.1 over 11 games, he's not pitching to pitchers. That's murder.
It's a little tougher when you don't have that automatic out in there.
Wow. 1-1 to Noli. 4-1 National, top of the 6th. You know, the first game ever played between the Twins and the Phils here, Pete Rose got a single in the first inning with Cruz a big jump, and he makes it easily. So Pete put the imprimatur on this stadium in the first inning of the first game with a base hit.
He's got a big jump, but he was tempted to go. I think Steve said, well, with Ryan hitting, why would he want to steal? But then again, if he gets thrown out, you might make a move. So it wasn't a bad play. Even if he doesn't make it and he makes it, well, he's got a chance maybe with a bloop or a flare, pick up another run.
2-2 to Nolan Ryan. And that's that. Breaking ball puts him away, so they leave Cruz at second base. And at the end of 5.5 innings, it remains the National League 4 and the American League 1. Bottom of the 6th inning with the National League leading the American League 4-1. Still plenty of life in each dugout, although it looks like the National League is sitting back enjoying the 3-run ball. Damaso Garcia will start it off. He takes ball 1. He was acquired by the Blue Jays from the Yankees, and he's been a Blue Jay second baseman ever since the start of the 1980 season. And what a performer. 1-0. 2 balls, no strikes.
You know, Damaso kind of steps in the bucket, bails out, is what they say, as Sparky's kind of making a little bit of a speech in the dugout and make some changes. But watch where his bat is. His bat is still back. He's still able to hit the ball, although he is bailing out. Watch that front foot.
He rarely walks. This is very interesting. He's ahead 2-0, and he promptly lifts it to right center. Parker is digging, and he will make the catch for the out. We asked Pedro Guerrero how come he was here knowing that he couldn't play. His reasons make a lot of sense.
Well, the way I feel is that, you know, I come down to this game to represent the Dodgers, but not only also, I also represent my family and my country, so it's something that you can miss, really.
So the Dominican Republic is well represented by Pedro Guerrero. Did you see that zinger that Dick Williams gave Joaquin Andujar in the press conference?
No.
They said to him, Andujar's not coming to the All-Star game. He said, I don't care. I'm just glad he was there the other night when we beat him.
Makings of a feud.
Yeah. There's Dick eating his sunflower seeds. 2-0 the count to George Brett. Ball 3. Down in the American League bullpen, Don Mattingly and Alan Trammell are loosening up. So Sparky's going to make a couple of moves. Fastball down the pipe. It's taken Brett 1 month to raise his average 58 points. He has been blazing hot. And he walked. Second walk given up by Nolan Ryan. He walks Cecil Cooper. And the batter will be Eddie Murray. Fernando Valenzuela is throwing in the Dodger pen. Donnie Moore, the other representative from the California first place teams, he has stopped throwing.
And I don't care what the gun says, and I don't care how fast he throws. You can't keep shooting fastballs by guys like Murray.
Fastball, and that's whacked into left center field. McGee and Cruz, and it's Cruz. Hustling back to first is George Brett. Fine play by Jose Cruz to plug up the gap.
That was a tremendous play because McGee's not going to make that play, and it looked like it might have even bounced over McGee's head. He was in fairly close to Cruz, but watch Cruz just cut across and make a tremendous play, reaching across his body. A little tougher because he is a left-hand thrower with that glove on the right-hand side. The other way, he would have been able to reach a little farther, but he made a good play there.
Interesting the way Ryan was pitching Eddie Murray. His first pitch was a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. His second pitch was a 76-mile-an-hour breaking ball. He came back with a 90, and that last one was 95. Ball 1.
That's throwing.
Yeah, you can't say Murray was a little late on a 95-mile.
No.
1-0 to Cal Ripken. Grounded to short twice, 0 for 2. Brett at first, held on by Clark. 2 out. Breaking ball, 2-0. Ripken is tireless. When you add up his consecutive games, 527, and then add up the innings, it's 4,758 innings of running out, running back, and running round.
Here's the spot where the hitter's against Ryan. You're always looking for his fastball. You have to because it comes in so fast, but 2 balls and no strikes. If you're going to get a good cut, it would be now looking for the fastball.
2-0. There's the fastball, hit back a third, smothered by Wallach. No play, but he took an extra base hit away from Ripken. You talk about keeping your nose in the game. He got a face full of rug on that play.
Ball gets there in a hurry, and he backhands it, but he's not satisfied to just catch the ball. He wanted to throw, but Ripken makes it to first base, and now it's Winfield.
And to show you what it means to be an all-star, Cal Ripken pulled a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, and only a dazzling play by Tim Wallach prevented it from being an extra base hit.
Think he was looking for it?
Oh, yeah. 2-0, 2 breaking balls, the Express. And now Winfield represents the tying run. He is grounded to second, single to center, and stolen a base. 4-1 National, but the big guy can get you well in a hurry. Breaking ball for a strike. Winfield took a huge stride on that pitch, and he was locked.
Changed speeds, and it kind of locked him. They've moved Wallach closer to the line, thinking these guys are sitting on the fastball to be able to get around on it. Winfield, big swing. There you see Wallach.
0-1 to count to Dave Winfield. Line drive, foul. Down in the bullpen where Coach Bobby Cox is playing catch with Tom Brunansky. And, of course, anything Brunansky does really shakes him up here. There's Bruno. 0-2 to Dave Winfield.
And 2 breaking balls he threw to Winfield. Now he's way out ahead of him. It'll be an interesting battle right here. What Ryan will do, he can do most anything. Winfield jumped on that last curveball and really wasn't biting as hard as that first one.
George Brett at second, Cal Ripken at first. and 2 out. Fastball hit the bat and knocked Winfield on his haircut.
You could see Virgil moving as he gave the pitch with our center field shot. You could see him edge in. That fastball was boring in on him, and down goes Winfield. And I mean, you talk about fast. He hits a line drive by just letting the ball hit the bat.
When he goes down, you want to holler timber.
He just kind of unfolds. Look at this.
And the count remains no balls, 2 strikes. In case Dave would like to know, it was 95 miles an hour.
Let's see where Virgil sets up with this pitch now. He's one of those catchers that'll move.
0-2.
Outside.
Fastball hit down a rhino, and Sandberg goes to Clark, and the inning is over. No runs, 1 hit, 2 left. 2 brilliant defensive plays by Murray and Ripken. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
One of the tools that Nolan Ryan has, he comes inside. Now to Henderson, he comes inside. Down he goes. You remember that? And then he comes back to strike him out. You're just not eager to come up. Here's Winfield. Down he goes. And on the next pitch, he throws the bat, just barely gets the bat on the ball and hits the ground ball. You have to be able to pitch inside. And when you're throwing fastballs 95, 94 inside, the body has a meeting with the brain and says, hey, we're both brave, but let's not all of us get up there at the same time. It's a very effective tool when you throw that hard.
Well, it's a big city. You knock down 2 guys. New York, New York. Here's the way the American League stacks up now. Mattingly, Garcia, Trammell, Molitor, Rice, Phil Bradley is now in center, Tom Brunansky in right, and Donnie Moore on the mound. And we'll check to see how they're hitting. Donnie Moore will be pitching to Jack Clark, Willie McGee, and Dave Parker. Donnie, one of the principal reasons why the California Angels are where they are. Luis Sanchez led California last year with 11. He already has 17, a career high, and he has been brilliant in his last 16 appearances. His earned run average is less than a run.
He's got a good fastball. He throws a slider and a changeup and good control. And Jack Clark, if you want to know what a good, quick, compact, crisp swing looks like, here it is.
Jack Clark picking up at first base for Steve Garvey, grounded to short in the 5th inning. He's 0 for 1. Clark has already homered in every National League stadium this year except Cincinnati and Philadelphia. And Whitey Herzog, in talking about him, said, well, he's as tall as Babe Ruth, not as heavy. 1-1. 1-2 the count. Donnie Moore's been in pro ball since 1973, but last year was only his 2nd full year in the major leagues. 2-2. Donnie Moore was a long reliever until last year when he had 16 saves for Atlanta. But when the Braves got Bruce Sutter, well, they left Moore available in the free agent compensation pool. Comebacker, and Donnie has it. That takes care of Jack Clark. 1 away. That compensation pool, the Angels lost Fred Lynn. So California dipped into the pool and in compensation picked up Donnie. And ironically, Moore is having a better year than Suter, who did not make the All-Star team.
McGee has pretty good power, but he's got great speed and a gap hitter.
Strike to Willie McGee.
If he hits one between the outfielders, it's really going to be a race.
He leads the National League in triples with 10. 1 ball and 1 strike. If you are keeping score, Paul Molitor is hitting first. Phil Bradley is hitting third. There's a 2-hopper down to second base to Garcia, who throws him out. Tom Brunansky is hitting in Eddie Murray's spot. Alan Trammell is hitting in Ripken's spot. Donnie Moore is hitting in Winfield's spot and put Mattingly ninth.
We had a clock on McGee, if you were wondering, 3-8 down the first.
Strike. The Cobra, as they called him when he played in Pittsburgh, and he has really come back for Cincinnati. Big Dave Parker.
He tells you in poetry. It won't fit after that swing, but he says, no beard, new city, but my swing is still pretty.
Well, you got a guy who won back-to-back batting titles in 1977 and 78. Big chopper to second, to Garcia, over to Mattingly. So the National League has set down an order for only the second time in 7 innings. Right now, talking about 7, here's another edition of the 7th inning stretch.
Gatorade Thirst Quencher presents the 7th inning stretch. Gatorade is thirst aid for that deep down body thirst.
In Baltimore, the Orioles have been flying high. One reason why, a homegrown hero who's played every inning of every game for more than 2 seasons. This junior member of the Orioles plays a major role. There's magic in Baltimore when Cal Ripken Jr. waves his wand. In 1982, Ripken was Rookie of the Year, and the following season he was voted the league's MVP. His proud father, Cal Ripken Sr., is the Orioles' third base coach, and Baltimore's favorite son has become one of the highest-rated shortstops in the game. With a glove like that and a booming bat, the Orioles' Cal Ripken will always stand out.
So far, 150,000 people have called in to register their feelings about the designated hitter. Those are the appropriate numbers. Whether you say yes or no, it will call you 50 cents per call, and at the end of the ball game, we'll give you the total and how it is broken down. You know, Joe, sitting here with 54,960 taking the traditional 7th inning stretch and listening to them sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" with such joy, the whole ball game is tinged with sadness thinking about the August 6th strike date set by the players.
Well, everybody around here, you like to be an optimist and think that it won't happen, but we'll have to wait and see.
There's not very much we can do except sit and wait. New battery, Fernando Valenzuela and Tony Pena. And Gary Ward is on deck to hit back a Rice.
You youngsters who want to be catchers, watch Tony Pena behind the plate, get in his catching position, and then forget it. He's one of the rare ones.
In the dirt.
He has thrown out 5 people, at least picked them off from that position. He got Keith Moreland, where Jim Fry told me, he said it was like a line drive being hit instead of a throw.
In looking at the American League here in the 7th now, you have Jim Rice. Then Ernie Witt is due up, followed by Don Mattingly. Gary Ward is out on deck as Rice draws a walk. So Rice at first, and here's Gary Ward. And a sweet return in the All-Star game to Minnesota for Gary. You might remember before last year the Twins traded Ward to Texas for pitchers John Butcher and Mike Smithson, and Ward struggled until after the Rangers were out of contention, and Butcher and Smithson were big factors in keeping the Twins in the race. Ball 1, and it goes back to the screen, and Rice goes down to second on what appears to be the wild pitch. This year, Butcher and Smithson are struggling, and here's Ward, an all-star. He played in the '83 All-Star game as a Minnesota Twin.
Pena just tried to make a one-hand grab. Johnny Bench, who's working in the next booth, he's the greatest one-hand catcher I've ever seen, and I think he's ruined more catchers. They try to be like him, they can't.
That was a wild pitch. That's a strike. 1-1. With these 2 substitutions, Pena and Valenzuela, again, if you're keeping score, Pena, the catcher, will hit in the number 2 slot, and Fernando will bat in the number 7 position, meaning he's due up second in the 8th inning. That's a line drive caught by Clark. Throws in the dirt. A great save by Ozzie Smith. He was practicing short hopping and backhanding. He didn't know he was going to have to do it on a throw.
And it was way off to the shortstop side. Even Ozzie Smith has to laugh about that. What an amazing man. Look at that. Ball is well hit. Look where Clark throws it way to the shortstop side. And Ozzie says, don't worry about it. I'll just backhand it and go to dance class.
I've never seen anybody come close to him.
I'm telling you, he is a magician.
Yeah. An acrobat, and he is just that. He truly is an acrobat. The $2 million shortstop, Ozzie Smith. Now Don Mattingly is at the plate. Ball 1. Mattingly last year became the first player to lead his league in batting and fielding. He had his string snapped, but he's hitting over 300 again. You know how far back it goes to do that? 1888. A drive to right center field and deep. Willie McGee on a dead run. He one-hands it. Ward goes to the bag to tag. Ozzie's going to be the relay to Wallach, and it hits the runner in the back. Rice is safe at third.
They had a chance to get him. Ozzie Smith's throw just hits Rice. Good relay throw. Look at here. Plenty of time.
So Rice, hit by the throw after tagging up, is safely into third, and Paul Molitor, who's from St. Paul, attended the University of Minnesota. Paulie comes in the leadoff spot now, formerly occupied by Ricky Henderson. Rice at third with 2 out, 4-1 National League, bottom of the 7th inning. Pop foul off first base. Clark comes over. Pena has a look, but it's way back in. Foul ball. He played just 1 month last year. He was out from May 2nd till the end of the season. So this year he's a logical candidate for comeback player of the year. He's the only man in history. Remember, he got 5 hits in the World Series against the Cardinals in the opening game 3 years ago. 1-2 to Paul. So Fernando Valenzuela, who figures to just work 1 inning. He's backed up by Jeff Reardon in the bullpen, and that's why he is hitting where he is. So he's due up second in the 8th inning. And he punches out Molitor, and that's that. Strikeout for Fernando, a man left at third. And at the end of 7, it remains the National 4, the American 1. You are not looking at some creature from out of space. That's our Skycam camera directly in front of our booth, high over the field. And now we go to the Skycam, and there you are in living color. Ain't you grand?
Modern technology, as they say.
And bye-bye, Skycam.
Vin, I guess Bob Veal, the Pittsburgh pitcher, was right. Good hitting, good pitching will stop good hitting, and vice versa.
Vice versa. So long, Sky. See, I know him now. I don't drop the cams.
Come on back.
He's going to give us a shot. The area viewed straight down on home plate. Tim Wallach, who made a brilliant defensive play on that ball hit by Ripken in the 6th inning, will lead it off. On deck, and this place will go wild, I'm sure, is the man who got the first hit in the Metrodome ever, Pete Rose. There he is, the oldest non-pitcher to ever play in an all-star game. The previous record, Carl Yastrzemski.
We ought to measure the decibel level with Rose and Brunansky when Brunansky comes in.
Yeah, that's right. Those two will put us right out. By the way, you wonder, slowly but surely now, Sparky Anderson has run out of non-pitchers. The only man he has left on the bench would be Wade Boggs, because Gedman is behind the plate. And Wallach goes back to the dugout. And here comes Pistol Pete, batting for Valenzuela. That's a strike. 0-1 to Pete. It was an exhibition game in '82. Minnesota playing the Phils, first inning, and Rose came up and got the base hit. And that put the seal of approval, the imprimatur, on the stadium. Place looks like there are thousands of fireflies now as all the flash bulbs go off. This is the man they want to have captured on film because he is so close to that other man. 1-1. Two balls, one strike. Change. Hit to the right side. Garcia over to Mattingly. So Rose rolls out. 2 down in the 8th inning. And Ozzie Smith coming up, and Pete comes off the stage. Ozzie Smith, going all the way at shortstop, has popped up, hit back to the box, and flied to center. Back of him on deck is Ryne Sandberg. This telecast, presented by authority of Major League Baseball, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Drive to center, and going back for it is Phil Bradley to make the play. So that's 7 in a row retired as the National goes quietly in the 8th inning. And at the end of 7 1/2, 4-1 National. Damaso Garcia followed by Phil Bradley and then Tom Brunansky in the 8th inning against right-hander Jeff Reardon, who has picked up the nickname the Terminator of late. Stopping ball clubs, he leads the majors with 22 saves. Ball 1. Jeff Reardon. Foul tip. 1 ball, 1 strike.
One of the things that Jeff talks about that has helped him this year is his control of his curveball. He's always had a good curveball, but he said he threw more curveballs in spring training this year than in any year, and he really has been getting it over when he's had to get it over.
Fastball foul back, 1-2. 1-2 the count to Garcia. Whoop. And he hollered, watch out. You could hear it up here. 2 balls, 2 strikes. So we saw Nolan Ryan almost bury Henderson and Winfield, and this one right over the head of Damaso Garcia.
Trying to get that ball inside. It was right at the helmet, and down he goes out of the way.
I remember that day when Jeff inadvertently beaned Mike Marshall in Dodger Stadium. He throws awfully hard, even though he's had some back problems at times. Ground ball to the hole, and that's the way the good hitters answer back.
Was the curveball, and you could see Garcia bail out, but he still had that bat there.
If you weren't with us in the first inning, Ricky Henderson single, stole second, went to third on the throw by Terry Kennedy, scored on George Brett's fly ball. However, in the top of the second inning, with 1 out, Strawberry singled and stole second, and with 2 out, a base hit by Kennedy tied it up. Garvey single knocked in Tommy Herr to put the National in front 2-1. And in the 5th inning, Ossie Virgil with runners at second and third and 2 out. They pitched to him with Ozzie Smith on deck. Virgil single to left, and 2 runs came in. So it is 4-1 National, and we're now in the 8th inning. And that is ruled a strike. 1-1. Phil Bradley, a great football player, all-time Big 8 conference yardage leader, great quarterback at University of Missouri. And another one.
There was the curveball.
There's Tom Brunansky, as they call him, Bruno here. He'll stop the show when he comes up. And there goes the runner. Swung on and missed. Pena to Sandberg. And the ball gets away, rolling back to the mound. Reardon picks it up. He throws to Wallach, and they got him. What a freak play.
Looked like Sandberg was handcuffed. The ball may have hit the heel because it came forward. And Garcia trying to pick up the extra base. Pena really put something on this throw. Watch it just pop out. And Sandberg really doesn't know where the ball is. And Garcia, for some reason, tries to pick up the extra base. But listen to the crowd.
Here comes Bruno. Fouled away.
Pena had no idea where that ball went. You could see him just put his hands up. I don't see it. I don't see it. That was not the best base running judgment by Garcia, trailing by 3. To try to take that extra base and get thrown out, and now you got the bases empty.
Still 4-1 National with 2 away. Side armor, and it stayed inside under the elbows. You know, Brunansky has hit only 7 of his home runs here at the Metrodome. He's the first one to disprove the theory that it's a haven for home runs. He's hit 19.
This whole game has disproved that theory. Here you got all the big sluggers in both leagues. Everybody led us to believe it was going to be firework. It was going to be all kinds of rockets all over the place. And no way.
2-1. High twisting foul. Jack Clark coming over to the railing, and it's back in. That's why we mentioned earlier the one tie over the years. The National League has won 35, the American League 19, and there's been one tie. That tie was a 1-1 tie in Fenway Park, of all places. And when they played the All-Star game in the Coliseum with the screen in very shallow left field, the final score was 5-3. Ground ball to Ozzie. Over to Clark, and the lights go out in the 8th inning. At the end of 8, the National 4 and the American 1. A reminder now, you can express your feelings as to whether you are or are not in favor of the designated hitter. You have about 10 minutes to make that call. It'll cost you 50 cents. You can see the number to dial if you say yes, or the number for no. And we'll give you the totals and the final reading a little bit later in the 9th inning. A couple of more changes. Wade Boggs is now at third base, batting 6th. Dan Petrie, the pitcher, is in the number 3 slot. And Paul Molitor has gone from third base to center field.
Petrie has an outstanding slider and an above-average fastball.
In looking to Sparky Anderson, he has used everybody on his club but Jay Howell and Willie Hernandez. He has used all of the other players, every one of them. And now with Sandberg up there in the count 3-0, Tim Raines is out on deck. So the only non-player not used so far by Dick Williams is Glenn Wilson. Strike. So both managers have really gotten the people in the game. Each manager using 3 pitchers. Of course, that brings up the luxury. There's ball 4. In case you wondered, if you had used 2 catchers and the third catcher was severely injured and there was still a couple of innings left, only in the All-Star game do they make a provision for that. They will allow you to bring back the starting catcher. Well, here's Tim Raines. So that leaves only Glenn Wilson, along with pitchers Darling, Garrelts, and Gossage. And Gossage is throwing in the pen. Ball 1. 4-1 in favor of the National League. We're in the 9th inning. There's the goose heating up under the eyes of Harry Dunlop. down in the National League bullpen. One other pitcher we haven't mentioned, the chances of seeing Dwight Gooden were down to slim and none. He won that tough game 1-0 Sunday. Made, Dick Williams said, some people tell me 130, some say he made 140, so there's just about no chance we're going to see him. Willie Hernandez, the other left-hander along with Jimmy Key, begins to throw now in the American League bullpen. There is Jay Horowitz of the New York Mets visiting with Dwight Gooden. It's about as close as we'll see him, I believe. 2-1. Three and 1 to count. Raines is the National League stolen base man until Vince Coleman came along, and he walks. So Dan Petrie walks Sandberg and Raines, and that'll bring up Tony Pena. I think we mentioned this once on the Game of the Week. Tony Pena had a recent 3-day road trip. If you can believe it, it's true. He says he broke 12 bats in 3 games, and in 5 of the broken bats he got base hits. And then we saw him play and he broke his bat and got a double. Then Nobi Kawano, the Dodger clubhouse man, said, you know, I heard that. He said Rex Bradley of the Louisville Slugger people once told me that the year Billy Williams led the American League in hitting, Billy Goodman, 1 bat.
All year?
All year.
That's incredible.
Well, that's the rumor. Fouled away. Pena wouldn't believe that story, I know.
No. You're breaking that many bats, you're breaking a couple of them, taking them out of the rack.
Sandberg and Raines out there, and Pena goes fishing. Down he goes. A strikeout for Petrie, and the batter is Jack Clark.
Straight down. Would you say that was out of the strike zone? One of those free swingers. Not hit the ball where it's pitched, hit it if it's pitched.
Not only did Pena strike out, they threw the ball out. And here's Jack Clark. Clark is 0 for 2. Garvey had grounded out and single. There's the goose heating up. Clark has grounded to short, hit back to the box. So Jack 0 for 2 with Ryan Sandberg at second, Tim Raines at first. 4-1 National League in the ninth. Ball 1.
I think of all the pitchers in baseball, Goose has to be the one who intimidates you the most. I mean, he arrives looking mean and mad and just stays that way.
You know, you just saw that note about Jack failing to hit home runs in only 2 ballparks this year. He is the sign for the Cardinals as we see Gossage head for the dugout. In games in which Jack Clark has homered, the Cardinals are 14-3. So if he hits one, Whitey just sits back and thinks about bass fishing. 2-0. So Petrie now is struggling. And Clark looking down to Ossie Virgil to see if they let him rip one.
Oh, no need to look. If Virgil gave him the take sign, I think we'd see a fight between Virgil and Jack Clark.
3-0, 2 on, 1 out, and National leading the American 4-1. Three and 1. Ball 4. So Dan Petrie has loaded the bases on walks. Willie McGee will be coming up, and we see now if Sparky is thinking about bringing in Willie Hernandez and turn McGee around and make him a right-handed batter and take a couple of steps away from him.
I think he may want to take some heat away from his pitcher Petrie because he's been having a good year for him and he's just having all kinds of problems out there and he wants to take a little heat off him.
So Petrie goes out, Hernandez comes in, McGee will turn around, and we'll be back. The bases are loaded in Minneapolis, but who would ever forget Comiskey Park in Chicago and Fred Lynn.
1983, the golden anniversary All-Star game at Comiskey Park in Chicago. Bottom of the third, San Francisco's Atlee Hammaker faces California's Fred Lynn, and Freddie drives this one over the wall and right for the first and only Grand Slam in All-Star history. It helped put an end to an embarrassing 11-game American League losing streak. They topped the Nationals 13-3.
Well, that was a couple of years ago. Right now here in Minneapolis, McGee will turn around and go right-handed. You know, it would have been interesting, anybody but a switch hitter like McGee. Glenn Wilson, the only other player who has not been in the game, could have come up to hit against a man he was traded for. That would have made a nice bit of drama, because the Phils got Glenn Wilson and John Walkenfuss for Willie Hernandez, who just set the American League on its ear. The infield is up with the bases loaded, 1 out. Ball 1 to McGee. McGee hitting .325 for the last month. And there's a drive into right center. Paul Molitor, it's over his head. It will go to the wall and bounce up and over the fence. It's a track meet, but they're going to have to send somebody back, and it'll be Jack Clark. They will send Clark back to third on what is a ground rule double for Willie McGee, but he would have chased everybody home otherwise.
That would have easily been a triple, a possible inside to Parker the way McGee can run. So they bounce, and Molitor gives it a chase, no chance whatsoever, and watch that thing just jump its way right out of this ballpark. Look at that high hop.
Well, for Sparky Anderson, that goes under the heading of the best laid plans of mice or men. It took McGee a little more than 7 seconds to go from home plate to second base. Infield still up, first base open. Dave Parker a strike. 6-1 National League. 0-1 to count to Parker. Finishing up for Darryl Strawberry in right field. That's a strike. 1 out in the inning. That was Pena, who struck out on a pitch in the dirt. Sidearm, foul tip, and down goes Parker. Willie Hernandez, a remarkable pitcher. When he got the out that clinched the American League East title for Detroit, it was his 30th save in 30 save opportunities. This year he didn't blow a save opportunity until June. So he really went a year and a half without missing a meaningful save in the regular season. Now, with the walk to Tim Wallach, we are going to get our wish, because Glenn Wilson comes out on the on-deck circle, and it looks like Wilson will hit against Willie Hernandez. He just as quickly goes back in the dugout looking for another bat. So the intentional walk to Tim Wallach and the trade will be on the line for all the world to see. So the bases are loaded, and here is Glenn Wilson. Wilson just found out recently that he had an astigmatism, and he's been wearing glasses this year. He went to spring training, said he didn't even know he had the problem, and then when he finally put the glasses on, he almost fell down.
Saw that. He said he really had some problems, but then he started to get some base hits, and what's the difference if you fall down if you get a couple base hits, huh?
You know, the first, let's see, 46 of his 56 RBIs were at home. Now it's 61, so he loves Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, which of course is AstroTurf. So here's Glenn Wilson. He has a very good arm. He leads the major league outfielders in assists. But the trade goes, and all of Philadelphia has a look at it, as well as Detroit. Ball 1. Wilson is the 8th man to come to the plate. He's batting for Reardon. One and one. Fouled away. 54,960 here at the Metrodome. And a screwball chased and missed, and the trade is history. And at least for that moment, Hernandez puts Reardon away. Reardon's replacement, Glenn Wilson, and it's 6-1 National. Here are the results of the phone-in about are you in favor of the designated hitter. 234,832 phone calls, and the answer, no. 59% of the callers said they are not in favor of the designated hitter. 41% said yes. Bottom of the ninth inning, 6-1 National League. Alan Trammell, then Wade Boggs and Jim Rice. Tim Raines is now in left field, so the outfield is Raines, McGee, and Parker. In looking over the rosters, with Goose Gossage on the mound, only Ron Darling, Scott Garrelts, and Dwight Gooden failed to get into the game. Everyone else in for the National League. For the American League, only one player failed to get in, Jay Howell. Everybody else has been in there. Goose Gossage has appeared in the All-Star game with 4 different teams, beginning 10 years ago with the Chicago White Sox, then with the Pittsburgh Pirates, the New York Yankees, and the San Diego Padres. Ground ball to third. Wallach is in front of it. 1 away. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman. The coordinating producer for NBC Baseball, Harry Coyle. The telecast of tonight's All-Star game has been produced by George Finkel, directed by Harry Coyle. Pre-game produced by Les Dennis. Pre-game and replays directed by Andy Rosenberg. Skycam director John Gonzalez. Technical director Lenny Stucker. Here's Wade Boggs. He comes into this game with a 20-game hitting streak, tying Don Mattingly for the major's longest of 85.
The Goose hasn't thrown anything but fastballs. All you got to do as a catcher is remember to put down one and break in a new glove.
2-1 to count.
No strategy here. I mean, he's playing good old country hardball. Give me the ball and fire.
Here he comes. Foul back. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Wade Boggs. Jim Rice, the only American leaguer to go all the way from start to finish, is on deck. The only National Leaguer to go start to finish is the shortstop Ozzie Smith. 2-2. Fastball fouled away.
I have to snicker. You said fastball. Which
yeah, what else?
But it's redundant.
Yeah, right.
He's just rearing back, and I mean, he is throwing.
Here he comes. It sounded high. So Boggs goes to first with 1 out in the ninth, and here comes Jim Rice. Show you how important Gossage has been. He has played on 4 first-place teams in the last 7 years. And now he goes up against Jim Rice, who is flying to right, struck out, and walked. Big RBI man. All 1.
These days, a team looks like it just cannot win unless they've got that big man in the bullpen to stop them.
Foul back. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Finally threw a high breaking ball.
That was a curveball. It surprised everybody. I think it surprised the Goose.
Where did I get that one with the bend in the middle?
What happened?
Fastball. 2-2.
But there's no need to throw anything else.
No.
I mean, when you got that kind of fastball, you don't worry about a hitter's weakness. You just give him your strength and say, here, beat me? Okay, beat me on my good stuff.
He's not throwing as hard as Nolan Ryan, who hit up to 95, but the Goose is hanging nice at 92. On deck, Rich Gedman. Breaking ball. 3-2 to Jim Rice. There's Gedman waiting his turn on deck. Got him. So Gossage strikes out Rice, and that brings up Gedman. At this stage, tonight's NBC Light Beer from Miller player of the game would be starting pitcher Lamar Hoyt of San Diego, who got the National League off and running. Light Beer from Miller happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of Lamar Hoyt to help fight multiple sclerosis. And we're delighted for Lamar, but There really wasn't a stick-out, stand-out, bright and shiny star in this one.
That was a default.
Yep.
I mean, it was just you took a vote and you could have picked it out of the hat.
Ozzie Virgil got a base hit to drive in 2 runs. They appeared to be very big, but then the ball game kind of fell apart. It's 6-1 National League. Rich has replaced Lance Parrish, and he's up there with Boggs, a teammate at first, and 2 out in the 9th. 6-1 National League. The National League will have won 12 of the last 13, 21 of the last 23, 31 of the last 39. It is a litany of frustration for Sparky Anderson, and I don't care what kind of a label they want to put on it. For Dick Williams, this will be his first All-Star victory in the National League. He was 0-3 with the American. And down goes Gedman, a fitting climax to the game as Gossage puts him away, and the National League wins another one. 6 runs, 9 hits, 1 error for the National League. 1 run, 5 hits, and no errors for the American League. But one other thought prior to tonight's game. The National League had won 20 of the last 22, and yet the American League almost broke even in the last 22 World Series. So the National League certainly wins 6-1 convincingly. The 1985 All-Star Game has been brought to you by Miller Beer. Miller made the American way since 1855.